Howdy folks, I'm Happy Hippolectron, hastily hypnotizing hypocritical humans.
I'm Amber.
And here are more hypocritical humans for us to hypnotize, and I guess that's what you do when you're a half-horse, half-chicken creature from ancient Greece. I would be hypnotized by it too if I saw it. So let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Publicly Refusing to Contribute to a Coworker's Child's School Fundraiser? So I'm a senior member of a team at work. There's another senior team member. We're about the same age, older than the rest, and we are both the only ones with children, preteen, not with each other. Currently, one of her children is taking part in a fundraiser for their school, and she decided to ask the rest of the team to take part, buying chocolate bars, and guilted everyone else into buying a few bars. However, at the moment, one of my own crotch goblins is taking part in their own school fundraiser, albeit in a different school, but selling the same chocolate bars. In several years working here, I have never asked anyone to contribute to my own kids' school because I passionately hate the fundraisers and I prefer just writing a check. And I don't want anyone else to feel obligated to contribute to something that they have no interest in. I'm planning on buying $50 worth of chocolate just to keep the school quiet, on top of its usual annual PTA donation and occasional volunteering. And honestly, I've tasted better chocolate that costs less. I told her in this morning's team meeting that I wasn't going to buy any chocolate since my own kid also is fundraising, but I wasn't going to ask her or anyone else to contribute to mine. Now she's giving me the stink eye, and I'm pretty certain other team members are too. I think maybe I shouldn't have been so loud about I don't think anyone should feel obligated. I'm still joking about this a bit because it's surely not that serious, and I can see it getting out of hand if she continues to be upset about it. Maybe I should apologize just for team cohesion. I'm definitely not buying any of her chocolate though. Edit, perhaps this is more serious than I initially thought. I have a high tolerance for other people's remarks, so I don't think what I said would have bothered me. I'll apologize before the end of the day. And folks, before we render judgment, we'll read a couple of comments. Fine Assignment 4342 says, Info, how exactly did you decline? From your story and back history, the way you chose to share it, was it not a polite way or a no thank you? And OP replies, she asked me in a team meeting. I said, paraphrased, no, my own kid is also doing a fundraiser for school. I'm not asking anyone else to contribute to that. And Jersey Girl 2468 says, Info, was this in response to her asking you directly about it? Because if so, not the jerk. But if you just randomly announced it in a meeting, or you said it when she was discussing it with someone else, that's different. And OP replies, yes, it was in response to her asking me in the meeting in front of everyone. Everyone else had apparently already bought some. I could have handled it better, I know, which is why I personally think that I was being a jerk, if not the jerk. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, that was wildly inappropriate of her to start cornering people in the meeting who hadn't bought. Like, it's dicey to bring in these fundraisers into a workplace anyway because of the coercive element, and especially since she's in a more senior position, it may make employees who are under her who don't want to buy chocolate, may not even be able to afford it, but feel like they have to stay on her good side.
Yeah.
And so I think OP was well within their right to be like, yeah, no, I'm not buying your overpriced chocolate.
I think that sometimes it's nice to do nice fundraisers, and work is a good place for that as long as everyone isn't pressured into it, right? Like, my workplace does a lot of fundraisers throughout the year, and, the thing is, like, none of it is pressured. It doesn't, like, you aren't on a list or anything like that, right? Your name is never going to appear, and they never are like, oh, thank you to these people who, contributed to it, right? It's always, if anything, like a group of people or different departments and stuff like that. And so there is no obligation to actually do any kind of donations there, right? Now, if everyone was pressured into it, then that would be different, right? And I think that's really where the coworker crosses the line here, is that this wasn't if you guys are interested, my child is doing a fundraiser. I have all these chocolate bars on my desk that I need to get rid of somehow. You feel free to drop by if you want a snack or something like that, right? And that would be just kind of like a fun, light way of selling off the chocolate bars, letting people know, I got some extra chocolate in my desk here if you want to buy a bar, right? But them being like, oh, you haven't bought a bar of chocolate yet? What's wrong with you? everyone else has bought a bar of chocolate, that's a bit guilt trippy, and manipulative.
Yeah, and doing that in front of everyone, so there's like the peer pressure. Well, everyone else bought chocolate for my kid. Why haven't you?
So I don't think that OP's in the wrong here, but I do think they need to go into HR and get this on record. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Apologize to the event my girlfriend invited me to speak at when she wants me to? So my girlfriend invited me to speak at this local women's in tech event that she helps run. We both work in tech and have CS degrees. She has a bachelor's and works as a project manager, and I'm a senior software engineer with a master's. I work on newer kinds of system that is meant to rapidly accelerate STEM work by offloading a lot of heavy lifting. It's still in a stage where you can get the most out of it if you already know the field, especially when it comes to modifying designs. Right now, most people use it for coding stuff. Anyways, I presented it in a pretty agnostic way. Not a plug for my company or anything like that. More about how it works, the societal impact, and all that. It was going great, and since the event was about women in tech, I tried to cater a bit. I talked about how these kinds of tools could help the cause by making it easier for more women to get into more complicated parts of the field. Sort of like the old days where you kind of had to be an electrical engineer to code, but now abstractions make it a lot easier. One person got really upset and said that I was implying that women need hard math simplified because they can't do it. I got defensive and said I never said that at all, and that she was putting words into my mouth. Since she spoke up, a few others got upset too. I never directly said that, but then at a mixer afterwards, a few people told me that they actually liked my talk and that it was the best one yet. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that particular part. So, mixed signals. Now my girlfriend is telling me to apologize. She wants me to email the organizers and say sorry. I refused because I honestly think that it was just one woman who kicked it off, and now my girlfriend is upset and keeps bringing it up. Also, having an email record with my name on it saying something wrong could easily be taken out of context later and maybe hurt my career if someone wanted to dig up old dirt on me or whatever. Plus, I kind of think that my girlfriend is projecting a bit because she's told me before that she never enjoyed coding, and that's why she's become a project manager in the first place. So am I the jerk for refusing to apologize? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP's being a jerk here. Like, regardless of how they meant their words to come across, they said something that has some deeply offensive implications. It's worth noting that the first computer scientists were largely women, and women were doing advanced computations before mechanical computers existed. It was women. Women got us into space. And so I do not like the implication that coding needs to be oversimplified so that women can be in the field. I think it grossly misrepresents the history and plays into a narrative that was constructed when computer science became a more masculine field.
So, I have a lot of expertise in computer science, and there are some aspects of computer science that are harder than other aspects, right? And there are a lot of tools that make it easier and more accessible to more people, right? And that's just a reality. But that doesn't mean that women need these tools in order for computer science, right? There are tools that make it accessible for more people. So more, both men and women, it's more accessible to, right? So it isn't just, it excuses and benefits women more because it's simplified and dumbed down. Like, I think that's a pretty terrible take, and I don't think that hopefully that isn't what OP meant here, but when we get into the comments, OP kind of doubles and triples down on some of this stuff. So I don't know. I think that the field that OP is actually talking about here is probably AI, I would imagine, because there's a lot of AI coding tools, and AI does make it easier to produce more code. The quality of that code isn't always good, and it does need somebody to actually review it and look over it and make sure that the code is performing the action that it needs to do. But yeah, if you want to quickly prototype something, AI code will let you quickly prototype something. But there's a lot of other problems that have been coming out with AI code, like, people doing vibe coding and just producing a bunch of code and then finding out, oh, there's security vulnerabilities and or the code is over engineered or it's under engineered in some spaces. So I think that while it might make things easier for more people to do casual coding, I don't think that it is to the point where people should be depending on it as the only coder in the room, right?
Right. And it's still important to be able to have that coding knowledge so you can review the code and make sure it actually functions as intended.
Yeah. So I think that OP is in the wrong here. They should probably apologize to people and say, I misspoke. There isn't anything wrong with being like, I misspoke. I didn't mean it like this, right? And saying, my words were taken, when I was saying this, I just wasn't really thinking about the implication of it. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean X, Y, and Z, right? That's not going to be dirt that can be dug up on OP in the future, right?
Yeah, well, that was a really problematic part of it for me. This whole idea that, like, it's better not to apologize because if you apologize, then that can be held against you.
Yeah. So I think that you should apologize when you're in the wrong, right? Like, I know that right now in our culture, this strong strain of if you apologize, that makes you weak or something like that. I disagree. I think apologizing and owning up to your mistakes makes you a stronger individual, right? And sometimes you make mistakes, and it is important to own up to those mistakes and be accountable for those mistakes. Not deny, deny, deny. I think people who deny that they've done anything wrong are weak individuals that don't deserve to hold positions of power. But that's just my take. Let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Telling My Fiance Why I'm Sterile? So I'm a late 20s female, and my fiance, an early 30s male, we'll call him Carlos, are still fighting about this, and was already 2 weeks ago. When I was 21, I had a partial hysterectomy due to endometriosis. It was very painful, and my doctor spent 2 years fighting for the approval because many people were against the idea. I didn't mind losing my uterus because 1, it was very painful, and 2, I was always child-free. Even as a kid, I didn't like kids. I met Carlos 3 years ago, and I told him on day 1 that I was child-free and completely sterile. He said that he was child-free too, so we went ahead with a relationship. He proposed in September, and we slowly started planning the wedding. I never told him about the hysterectomy itself. I didn't hide it on purpose. I just honestly slipped my mind because I already told him that I couldn't get pregnant. My mom did not know about the engagement because she was out of the country taking care of her elderly sister, and I wanted to tell her in person. She came back 3 weeks ago. After she rested for a week, we invited her to lunch so we could tell her about it. Well, Carlos is a prankster, but mostly the weird kind. While we were eating, before I could show my mom the ring, he grabbed her hand and said, "I'm sorry, Miss My Mom. I impregnated your daughter." My mom burst out laughing, looked at me and said, "Either you two are about to get rich or you grew a new uterus." I laughed too and said, "I hope not, because I had to talk to half the doctors in the country and their grandmas the first time." Well, Carlos stared at me and said, "What do you mean?" My mom said, "The hysterectomy, of course." Carlos said he had never heard about it. My mom laughed again and asked how he didn't know. I said, "I guess I never brought it up because I didn't think about it anymore." Well, we were quiet for a second, and then I showed my mom the ring and we celebrated. After she left, Carlos confronted me and he asked why I never told him about the surgery. And I told him that I had told him the important part, which was that I was sterile. He said that the issue was the principle, and if I could keep something so big to myself for years, what else could I hide? I feel like that's unfair for me, since I shared the relevant part at the moment, and later just didn't think about it. I wasn't trying to keep secrets, I simply didn't think that the medical details were relevant once we agreed on being child-free. So now we want some outside opinions. Am I the jerk for not telling him about the hysterectomy, or is he overreacting? He has read the post and approved, so this is not only my point of view. I came back and there were so many responses. I'll make a quick edit to clarify some things. How did you forget to tell him this? It was a very traumatic experience, and everyone and their mother looked at my vagina, uterus actually. I felt embarrassed for a long time and pushed the experience deep enough till I forgot about it. Why didn't you tell him? At first, I wasn't about to trauma dump on a dude I knew for 2 hours, and I'm a very quiet person on our first date, so I said maybe like 50 words. I'm more talkative now, at least with him, but I like my privacy and to keep things that I feel deeply personal to myself, unless it's relevant to something. Edit 2. Hey, now that we've had time to read some of the responses together, we want to clarify some other things. Carlos, did you know the difference between sterile and infertile? Apparently not. I thought it was the same, both meaning not to be able to have babies. How did he not notice that she didn't have a period? To be fair, we haven't been living together for that long, 5 months, and he thought that I had PCOS like his sister. Are you really child-free, or did you think that you would change her mind after the wedding? No, I'm child-free and was even thinking about getting a vasectomy just to be even on the safe side. How didn't he notice the scars / hormone therapy, etc.? Well, I don't have any scars. The procedure was done vaginally, so the scarring is on the inside. I don't need hormones, at least not yet. I still have my ovaries, and they're healthy at the moment. And for the people saying that I should have told them, just in case of an emergency, you're right, and I honestly never thought about that part. We'll update once we've had our sessions with couples counselor, because I feel that things are better to discuss with a professional. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, you told the relevant piece of information that you can't have kids. And that was the only part that was relevant to their lives. Like, if Opie had had an appendectomy and didn't tell him, would that be relevant? No,
Yeah.
It doesn't have any effect. Or had donated a kidney or something like that. Like, you can have all kinds of medical procedures that don't have an effect on your life as a couple.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe a kidney would be a little bit different because it is important to know that, like, you only have one kidney just in case of an emergency. But, like, I don't know, like, for the most part, yeah, I agree with you. It's, like, not even relevant to the relationship. She said the relevant part. She was sterile. The details of that are really unimportant, in my opinion. This wasn't like she was trying to hide it. She wasn't like going behind his back and like scrubbing, any, evidence of her, hysterectomy and being like, oh no, I have my, and then gaslighting and being like, yeah, I have my uterus still, don't worry.
Yeah, well, like if they'd never had the kid conversation or something like that, or she had actively been hiding the fact that she can't have kids, that would have been a completely different story.
Yeah.
But again, he was aware that she can't have kids. Yeah. And so that was all that mattered.
And if he was not child-free and he was like, well, I'm undecided about kids, blah, 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 and she's just hid that information, then that would have been wrong too. But she literally told him, I'm sterile, right? And because there's a difference between infertile and sterile, right? Infertile means there's a low chance of you getting pregnant. Sterile means there's no chance of you getting pregnant, right? Or at least like so low that it's basically impossible, right? And in the case of a partial hysterectomy, like there would be nowhere for the embryo to implant. Although I guess like I don't even know if they would be able to get an ectopic pregnancy just because of like the removal of the uterus. So I don't even know how that works in that respect.
Yeah, I don't either.
So yeah, I think that this is one of those things where I think OP gave him all the relevant information and then he's just being overly sensitive here. But I mean, I'm glad they're going into couples therapy and talking about this. Like, he's allowed to have an opinion that he felt like something was being hidden from him, but he also needs to accept that OP wasn't doing this out of malice too, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What might you call a perplexed jigsaw cut game?
I would call it a puzzled jigsaw.
A puzzled puzzle.
A puzzled puzzle.
And it's National Game and Puzzles Week, and also National Stuffing Day.
Oh, so go find yourself some stuffing from a stuffed animal on your shelf. Cook it up and eat it.
You don't do that.
And I have Mega Mint. Don't do it unless it's cotton. You can eat cotton, I think. I don't know.
I still don't.
I would talk to your doctor and find out if cotton is right for you. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy fantastic Friday, folks. I hope your Friday is off to a fantastic start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on admitting when you're wrong.
It is important to admit when you are wrong, and it is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!